Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. You know, at the end of the day, you guys, it is one of the many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me, because not only are we the greatest nation on earth, but I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you guys live yours as well. This is all about education. This is all about progress, and rest assured, you guys, everybody who comes on my show is a transportation professional. All right, you guys. So there's no theory on any of this stuff. We're here to provide actual information with what you can do with it in your business. I got a very special guest for you guys today. He does not need drayage. We're going to throw that out there right now. But before I bring him on, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub. You guys, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers. And right now, with rising costs that are out there, whether it be fuel or maintenance, no carrier should ever have to shut their operation down because they have a trailer in the shop. So what they're working on right now, you guys, and this is the thing that I love about it the most, is you get paid to move these trailers for them. So what they're working on, Glade Spring, Virginia to Delta, BC. If you have Canadian authority, you can get paid $18.50 to move this trailer. And that is on top of the revenue that you can get by loading that trailer out. They also have West Valley City, Utah, going up to Calgary, Alberta, for $15.50 US. And then finally, they have Paragould, Arkansas, going to Orting, Washington, just outside of Tacoma. And you can get paid $15.50 to move that trailer as well. Again, on top of the revenue that you get by loading that trailer out with some freight. So hit them up, vhubapp.com. My man my man Xavier Campos and my friend Stacy Steen, they'll be in the audience. You guys hit them up. Just do me a favor. Let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Sunny Sharma, good morning, Orange Shirt Gang. Let's fucking go on this great Tuesday morning. I don't know if anybody's working this week or next week. I know I am, and I know my guest is today. And I'm going to bring him on right now because he doesn't need drayage. And it's my friend Tony Darnell joining the show. What's up, buddy?
Good morning, Chris.
Dude, thanks for joining me. I know you got a lot going on with end of month, end of quarter, end of year, inventory, everything else under the sun going on. So for those who are watching this and going to hear this on the replay later, man, who don't know you, how long have you been in the industry for? What do you do out there?
So I am a shipper. We're pretty well covered as far as drayage goes, but we're a manufacturer for manufactured housing, building supplies, recreational vehicles, marine, chassis, axles, glass, tables, windows, you name it. Lippert makes a lot of aftermarket products, and we're in the recreational activities business or transportation business or building products business. But we're part of all of that stuff, and it's fun to move it. And that's what I'm doing.
Dude, and I love it. And again, you guys, every time some of my friends who are in my network that are shippers that come on, you guys are here to provide insight into what you can do with your current prospects and your current customers and everything. This is not an open invitation to DM the shit out of him and everybody else who comes on. I know it's going to happen anyways. And like, as always, like as a sales rep, I respect the hustle, but you guys, like this is valuable information that I don't know of any other platform that's putting out there on a consistent basis of having this information out there. Because again, you guys, we're just here to provide progress for you. All right. This isn't a guarantee that you're going to just win business, but this is going to help curate your messaging to stand out amongst the crowd. Because like, I mean, Tony, from your perspective, man, how many of the exact same messages do you get in any given day?
Usually 8 to 10, roughly, 50, 60 a week. It's such a cookie cutter. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone's buying the same script from somebody, and I want to be that guy because he's selling a crap load of them. But if you want help, I mean, just look around and ask. Be different. Do your homework. Get in front. Play the long game. Stop trying to sell drayage to a guy who doesn't need it. That's the opening line in every. Probably 8 out of 10 of the emails and DMs I get is needing. Or is offering drayage services, and I'm like, that's great. Don't need it.
Dude, and that's exactly it. Is, again, I don't know. There's a guy who has a catalog of content out there talking about researching your prospects and curating a message to the individual as opposed to the mass. I don't know who that guy is. He may or may not have a morning show that you're watching right now. But again, you guys, like this is the point, is like you legitimately, for the most part, really only have one shot to catch somebody's attention. All right. It's not going to be on the first time you reach out or anything like that. But again, you can't sound like everybody else, and I put that out there. Like, again, Tony doesn't need drage. And if you would take 5 minutes to go to their website and check them out, you'd have a pretty good idea that they don't need that. Or my personal favorite is when they offer refrigerated services to somebody who clearly ships on a flatbed for overdimensional equipment. Those are my favorite when I see those ones come across. But, again, it's like, everybody, like, that's the number one question I get is how do I find shippers? I would say that is the undeniable one all the time, is how do I build my book of business? How do I gain shippers? How do I do all of this stuff? And again, it's like, for one, just stop doing what everybody else does, because everybody else is going to rely on the email or the DM. Very, very few, not everybody, but very, very few people will show up and introduce themselves in person. Or like the approach that I'm taking in my brokerage, you guys, is I send personalized videos. All right. It is, for me, that's where my comfort level is. I want my prospects to know I am a real human being and that I'm not a copy and paste message going over them. I personalize it. I've done my research on what they do and everything else. And again, is it going to guarantee me business? I don't know, but they're going to remember me. They're going to remember the guy in the orange shirt who's reaching out to them. And, so again, it's like, just do different. Like, whatever your conventional mindset is, oh, this seems like the path of least resistance, do the opposite one, because that's going to be the one that'll get you noticed.
Hey, yeah, the internet is everywhere, but you're in one spot. Go monopolize your neighborhood. Go get your neighborhood. Be the guy that's in front of somebody that's 2 doors down the street. Go find your industrial sector and corner that market. Be their go-to support guy that, you show up every day and offer them a cheeseburger. Just be that guy that's there, so that they just make them tell you no until they finally say yes. And then you get one load from somebody and you just kill it. You kill it no matter what. And then you kill it again. And then that's how you build your book of business. Yeah. Then pretty soon you're going to have a guy that's going to refer you to somebody else because you're killing it for them. And you can do it next door. You don't have to jump on the internet and do it from your home office and never see anybody. Go out there and knock on doors and be a person.
Yeah, no, I agree with that wholeheartedly, man. And like, so for all the drivers who watch, a little bit, Tony, you were a driver for a while. You've got experience behind the wheel and everything else. But I think that's another thing that a lot of drivers, because again, how do I get off of a load board? How do I remove myself from that opportunity? If I have one truck and one trailer, do I take that exact same approach? Do I show up in my truck? Or do I get in my car and drive around and introduce myself and let you know, like, hey, I'm based here in Louisville, Kentucky. I want to run down to Atlanta, Georgia, for example. Do you guys have anything like that? Here's my truck. It's right out in your parking lot right now.
I would, if somebody showed up, I'm a truck driver, man. I'm no gearhead anyways. I love cars. I love trucks. And if somebody showed up in a truck wanting business, man, I would be out in the parking lot checking out his rig or her rig, whatever. We have some female drivers too that are outstanding. And yeah, I love trucks. You show up like that and you're getting me out of the office. I'm sorry. I'm going to pull out of the meeting. I'm going to go see your truck.
Yeah. Get it polished, get it cleaned up, do whatever.
I don't even need that, dude. I am fine with a dirty Cascadia with steel wheels. I'm just going to go check out your ride because I love trucks.
Yeah, man. I'm right there with you. And again, because I think that's one of that, like, that's the piece of information that isn't really out there for a lot of the drivers. I know there's some people that are out there working it, but again, hearing it from you directly. And I know that you're not the only shipper who feels that way, because like, you guys are fairly large at the end of the day. Like, you're not a one bay shipper. You guys have multiple facilities and stuff like that. But would a one truck operation add value to you? How could a one truck operation add value to a company like yours?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be that difficult, especially if you're based near one of our plants. I mean, we have, 100 plants or something, but if you're based near one of our plants, which go to lci.com and you can just check out all of our locations, there's an easy way to get on board with as a carrier. You can get on board and then, find where it is that they're going. What equipment do they need? What services do they need? And then try and match that up with something that you can do that will get you back home if you want to do round trips or go wherever else. But go talk to the guy. It is not hard to get onboarded. The problem is every broker and their brother wants to get onboarded as a carrier in a slow market, and we're not onboarding brokerages. It's just there's no need. We have more than we need now, and there's literally hundreds lined up waiting for their turn, and everybody's asking. And I just keep telling them, man, it's not at least Q1 before we'll even entertain the idea.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on? Because I've seen a shift in this. Where, because when I came up in the industry, Tony, it was always, we're a broker. We're not an asset provider. We're not a asset light. We are just a freight broker, and that's what we do. And I never had hesitancy from anybody in that regard. But it seems like the tides have shifted a little bit to where they're like, oh, I'm asset light, or, we're an asset-based freight brokerage. But when in reality, they don't have anything. So again, would you just rather have somebody come up and just be like, I am a pure third-party freight broker? We do not, but this is what we specialize in. This is the areas that we operate in.
100%, 1,000 times yes. And here's why. If you tell me you're an asset-based brokerage, I'm going to say it.
Do it.
It's jumbo shrimp.
Yeah.
It's an oxymoron. It's deceptive at best.
Yeah.
If you're an asset-based brokerage, I'm never going to see a truck with your name on the door.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, man. I just don't, because my whole thing is I just have, it's not like some people are like, oh, it gets me in the door. Yeah, but you're in the door on a lie, at that point. And for me, I would rather just be upfront and honest, because again, I've been doing this long enough to know that you nor any shipper is going to give me all of your business or even more than 1% of your business for the first probably 3 months that we're working together. Maybe some more or less, don't hold me to it. There's going to be some people who give you access to more before that. But again, for the most part, it takes time. And I'm of the mindset where it's I just want to earn it, because I know I will separate myself by the way that I operate, because I know I don't do what other people do in those instances because I've been seasoned.
And when you and I work together, it's based on trust. And if you come at me deceptively, I can't trust you. How do you build trust by deception? You just don't.
Yeah, dude, I'm right there with you, man. Again, you guys, you can hear it from the source. You don't have to. I am the source, but you can hear it from the person who would be on the other end of your guys' cold calls with this. And, again, you guys, this is the importance of hearing it firsthand, because I can say it, or anybody else out there can say it all they want. But at the end of the day, I'm not the decision maker. I just know what's worked for me in my career and building up my brokerage and multiple books of business throughout my career. I would rather just there's enough lies that go on out there. I don't want to fucking make it even more. I don't want it to compound on each other, because it just, nothing gets better when you have to walk back one of those.
Well, that, and here's the other thing. I hear a lot of truckers, less than brokers, a lot of truckers will tell you that, well, those guys are just trying to be purely transactional. You know what? You're right. I have a report that goes out to my boss's boss that says, here's what we could have spent in freight and here's what we did spend in freight. And I have to account for that difference. Mm-hmm. But if you, Chris Jolly Freight Coach Brokerage, are going to provide me outstanding service that I don't have an ounce of hesitation in defending for that extra spend, I have no problem taking that to my boss's boss and saying, here's why we did that. This load that has to get there for your customer, that promise fulfilled that we did for you, sales team, VP of sales, that was paid for with that extra dollar.
Yeah.
It's not purely transactional. We have to balance both. It's a fine line. I mean, you have to be a good steward of the resources you're in charge of. And some of those are freight spend. So you have to mind your freight spend, but you also have to mind the relationship. You have to be a good steward of that relationship as well. We try and spread stuff out relatively fairly and evenly. I don't want to put all of my eggs in one basket, even if they're the cheapest basket. It's just not smart, because tomorrow you might not be the basket that I need. That basket's got a big hole in it.
For sure.
So good communication. And like I said, we were trying to do this year is reset the expectation. I want to know when I book a load with you, I want you to contact me and give me an ETA. I don't want to have to ask you, when's the truck coming? We booked it for this day and we gave you the pickup hours. It's first come, first serve. Tell me when that's coming.
Yeah.
We got a truck. It's Bill's Country Trucking, and it's, the driver's name is Javier, and he'll be there at 10:30 Eastern. Cool. Then now I know what to look for. Then when at 11, when the guy doesn't show up, I can hit you up and say, hey, I don't think the guy's here yet. Is he having trouble? Oh, no, he's over on the receiving side of the building. He hadn't found his way over to the shipping side yet. All right, cool. I'll walk up there and talk to him. And then when it delivers, I want another email that says, oh, hey, here's your signed PODs. Everybody wants to give me a bill of lading. Sign the packing slips too. Give me the whole thing.
Yeah.
Send them back to me. You can take a picture and text or fax or email or whatever so fast now. There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
And then you know what? You give me that level of communication, that trust is built. And then guess what your price does? I don't care, because I'm going to use you.
You guys heard it from him. You guys heard it from him in this situation. It's very true, because and the thing is where a lot of people get themselves with their backs against the wall. And again, that's why I believe in brutal transparency, because with all of my clients, good, bad, or indifferent, I'm going to let them know what's going on. It's not a fun conversation, but I would rather tell you as my customer 24 hours in advance that, hey, here's where the driver is in reference to the receiver. I believe that there's going to be a delay. All right, the driver has to shut down. I believe there's going to be a delay. I would rather let you know the day before than even an hour before the delivery or anything like that, because a lot of people sell themselves on visibility and transparency and everything else. Well, then why is it only when things go right? Because that's ironically, in my experience, Tony, my book of business has grown exponentially when things went wrong and how I handled and provided a solution to those problems.
That's key. TJ will say that all the time. He always says, don't come to somebody with a problem. Come to somebody with a problem that you have a solution for, that you can fix. Because in logistics, we're really not any kind of superheroes or anything like that in what we do. I know we all like to pat ourselves on the back and pretend, but really we're just solving problems.
Yeah.
That's it. Just get creative and solve problems. But don't come to somebody and say, hey, the truck broke down.
Yeah.
Say, hey, the truck broke down, but here's what we're doing, and here's when it'll get going, or swap out, or whatever it ends up having to be done.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, man. I guess it takes a lot of it. Some people learn sooner than other. I don't. Tony could tell me that the stove's hot, don't touch it about 50 times, but your boy's still going to touch that stove. Figure it out himself.
It's the orange shirt, right?
Yeah, exactly. See, it's all tied together in some way, shape, or form. Let's get to one article here. How about that? Let's start this one. We're going to talk about the TT News article from Union Pacific put shipping limits on hold. Union Pacific says it will stop imposing temporary limits on certain businesses' shipments while it reviews the policy that federal regulators and shippers criticized at a hearing in mid-December. Union Pacific has put more than 1,000 of these embargoes in place this year. I broke this article down last week or the week before initially about how Union Pacific applied this. And they tried to do it to clear up some congestion. CEO Lance Fritz said in a brief letter that UP will put all new embargoes on hold. These orders that force businesses to temporarily limit their shipments and pull off some of their rail cars off of their network caught regulators' eyes because they are up significantly over the past 2 years. UP used 140 of them in 2018 as a whole, and members of this rely on railroads to deliver their raw materials and everything else that go along with it. Again, Tony doesn't need drayage or anything like that. But from your perspective, like if a service, because again, the embargo was essentially telling shippers in certain locations, like, hey, we're not coming to get your stuff anymore. Like, I, again, understand the thought behind it. But to me, I always look at a lot of these things as like a massive opportunity when I see that. Because again, yes, if you don't have any time limit on intermodal, that's always going to be your most cost-effective way to ship stuff for the most part. But again, like, this is why I'm such a massive proponent for OTR transportation at this point, because that's the beauty of what OTR is as a whole, because there's multiple competitors in there. No one large provider could ever go to a shipper and say, hey, I'm going to impose an embargo on it. This is the problem with a monopolistic industry, which is intermodal, when there's only like 3 or 4 providers that control everything at that point, because it really pigeonholes people.
Is there a more heavily burdened bureaucracy than the railroad?
dude.
I mean, it's like they are in bed with the government. They have their own rules. They have their own retirement. They have their own guidelines. They have their own transportation laws. They can do whatever they want. And again, that's what you get when you don't have a market. You have that monopolistic approach. Who's turning down loads right now? Are there carriers out there that are saying, no, we're good?
No. And they won't.
But a railroad can do that? Wow.
Yeah. And that's my big thing with this is because like I couldn't imagine being because there was I think Cargill was listed in the original article that I broke down, and Cargill is massive. And the way that I see it, if they're going to tell that to Cargill, who aren't they going to tell that to? And, because like that's a big shipper at the end of the day. And my thing is it's like, and again, I interviewed another shipper here that his podcast is going to be out on Friday. And he was telling me, he's like, I'm so selective on who I work with in this regard, because I know the larger their provider, in most instances, when the market flips, they will leave me. He's like, I don't even work with them anymore, because I've had that happen literally so many times in my career that when the market shifted, they dropped all of my freight to go and chase something else. He's like, so I know, again, back to the partnerships and the development thing. He's like, I know that I might spend more with some of these other providers, but he's like, they show up every single time. And again, like as a sales rep and as a business owner myself, Tony, I could never go to one of my customers and be like, hey guys, listen, we're going to put you on pause here for a little bit. Just because, like, you can't do that at all.
Yeah. I read an interesting article after this one. I talked to a couple of drivers that were out that way too. The Mississippi River is so low that the barges are having trouble. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing like bulk product that usually floats in a barge. Yeah. Is being holed up and rotting. Your grain shipments are going to sit and rot. And then you see the crazy prices in the stores and the shortages. And it's not because they don't have enough trucks and the trucks don't have enough work. They can't afford to haul a barge load with 300 trucks. Yeah. There's no margin in that. So then you have ridiculous prices. Yeah. It's interesting, but it's also with this one, it didn't take UP to flip flop very soon. I bet they were inundated with phone calls from their shippers, because they said it was like 1,000 of them this year that they placed. I could only imagine when they saw the large shipper of Cargill included in that, everyone who was below that level of company probably lit them up, and they're like, what? So you're gonna pause them? When's my turn? And then again, that's the power of the collective of, not to go political, but that's the power of when all the people band together and start doing what it is intended to do. But that article, you guys, is from ttnews.com. And that is Union Pacific put shipping limits on hold. It was a good read. Dude, it was a good read. And, for me, it's also a solid tie-in to the next article, which is written by my friends over at the JOC, and it's intermodal volumes falling fast and rates will follow in 2023. Domestic intermodal volumes last month plunged to their lowest November level in 7 years, a cold reality for intermodal providers that will give shippers leverage in contracts rate negotiations out there. The soft market has caught the attention of, again, Union Pacific, which will reduce contract rates 3.3% for the 12 months beginning February 1st compared to the current period. IANA reported 725,000 containers and trailers removed last month, down from 780,000 units in November of 2021. Domestic intermodal volumes have fallen sequentially 8 out of 11 months this year. Volumes originating in the U.S. Southwest, which includes California, saw their worst November in 5 years, while businesses originating in the Midwest experienced the worst November in 7 years. I almost wonder if rail was more expensive than like contract freight on domestic OTR, because I think that kind of has a lot to play in with it, because I know that, again, it's all a crapshoot when it comes down to pricing, right? Spot and contract for, domestic U.S. truckload is a crapshoot at the end of the day. And then intermodal, for the most part, will kind of set their own rates that are out there. But again, I think that what you're seeing is it's probably too close, and people don't want to deal with the volatility that is of the rail. And they were like, hey, I don't want to risk it this year. I don't know. It's interesting to kind of tie all of this in, because I don't think people
understand how closely correlated the intermodal market is with the domestic truckload market.
Right. No, I totally agree. Another factor I'd also like to see included in there is what is the damage rate?
Yeah.
For truckload versus intermodal, because that harmonic vibration of a train is just a unique beast. Not saying it's good, bad, or otherwise. I'm just saying it's different.
Yeah. No, definitely. And and that's another thing too, man, is talking about what that does. Do you guys see when there's like a massive market shift from your perspective? Do you guys see and I'm talking like a drop in price, for example, like what happened out there on the spot market right now? Do you guys see an increase in claims at that time? Or damages? Maybe not claims, but like damaged goods.
Are we talking customer or freight?
Freight. I'm sorry.
Kinda.
Yeah.
So it's wild because as soon as the market slows, quality is under scrutiny at a higher level. So do they correlate to actual freight, or is it perceived freight claim?
What do you mean by that?
So did this appear damaged, or did it appear in transit damage? So when everybody's looking more closely, when the market tightens up, are they just finding stuff that otherwise would have slid through, or are they finding stuff that's always been there?
Yeah. That's a good call, man. It's again, every time that a market shifts, anything like that happens, I was always curious in that matter because, if people pay, because like, as the brutal reality of this industry is sometimes people are going to combine shipments. If it's a light load and it's only a couple of pieces and customers think they're paying for a dedicated truck, well, that stuff gets cross-docked with another truck load that's going to another location that's double stacked and everything else on it. So you almost wonder, what is that correlation to the increase in insurance claims and everything else that goes on? How are you guys as a shipper, as we're kind of tying up, we're not going to get to the third article and that's fine, but how are you guys as a shipper? How do you guys, double brokering is kind of all over the place. How do you guys really sniff that out? Like if I came to you as a service provider and said, hey man, that original carrier, and it just explained to you what happened on that, how do you take that?
If you're telling me what's going on, that's cool. Like, so double brokering is this big, evil, rotten term, but it's really fine from my research. And I'm no attorney and I don't study and understand the law, blah, blah, blah. From what I can read, it's only wrong if everybody is not privy to the details.
Information. Yeah.
So if I give a load to you, Chris, and you say, hey, I can't cover this, but my buddy over here specializes in this, I'm going to take a cut of 5% to get, or 10% or whatever, to give it to them. Are you okay with that? And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then they're okay with that. And then the driver's okay with that he books, and it all goes through. That's fine. But I mean, from my point of view, how to avoid that? Talk, communicate. When we have a trusting relationship, you can say, hey, this isn't my forte, especially. I want your business, but in doing so, I'm going to tell you to take this to so-and-so because I'm not the guy for that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to, and vetting carriers is great, but you can use a trusted friend or advisor. They take a load and they run it on a carrier that they maybe didn't even know has this service, and they'll run a point to point, and then there's a local driver that's going to make the delivery. And if you're the third delivery of that day, and you're expecting a 6 a.m. delivery at your other end, it's 2 p.m. and we're wondering where it's at. And the local driver hasn't made that stop yet. What are you talking about? I thought this was a point to point. And they don't even tell you.
So it's always the surprises after the fact. That's the general consensus of this. And again, I say this often, man, communication will literally solve every problem you have in life. It's not a fun conversation to have at the end of the day, but it's conversations that are needed to be had to actually experience the level of success that I think a lot of people want. Because again, like none of this is easy, because obviously if it was easy, everyone would do it. But I think that, I know everyone is doing it, but very few are effectively doing it. And, again, I respect anybody who goes out and tries to build their dream and build a company. And that's like the whole point of all of this stuff at this time, because it's like, if you are doing this, if you are trying to build your thing, like this is the information that you need. No, there is not a fee for this at all. I would love if you guys hit up all my advertisers, and all of that. That would be fantastic. But at the end of the day, I'm going to continue to show up and provide this information. And fortunately, I have people like Tony in my network who are going to come on and give you guys some of that information. So please do not DM Tony, even though you probably may have already gotten some, or you will be getting some. And yeah, other than that though, man, I appreciate you joining me. I like to keep these at 30 minutes because I know you're busy. You got a lot of stuff to do here before the end of this week and everything. So Tony, thank you so much for lunch. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. And that's it for today, you guys, the Freight Coach Morning Show. If you guys saw value in this, share the show. All right. If you're going to go over to the YouTube channel, The Freight Coach, or if you're going to hit this up on the audio only version on iTunes and Spotify later on, the Coffee with the Freight Coach, subscribe and share the show, you guys, because that's how this. Yeah. High five. Oh, I'm bad at this. There we go. I can't read. But that's how we continue to grow, you guys. We'll be back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Thanks, Coach.